Good day, folks. Welcome to session 6 of this program. This is Tradetaxplus checking in for Tradetaxplus management services. In this video, we'll have a very quick look at what are the roles that a tax manager in a corporate environment should fulfill. Now, what you'll see is it's quite wide, and probably you can't be owner of all of those things, but you have to ultimately take responsibility for making certain that that happens. So let's have a look at that. Now, as we have said all along, the main function is to integrate the corporate strategies with the tax strategies, and the tax strategies would comprise of the indirect and the direct tax strategies primarily. But the indirect tax executive is responsible to make certain that those strategies are fully aligned and that the tax strategy is executed accordingly. Then the enterprise risk management role, we've talked about that in detail in previous sessions. Understand the risk, record the risk, and develop your strategies according to the risk. The main thing is to keep the main thing, remember? Then operational oversight risk, that is an area that needs to be very clearly defined. So the tax manager doesn't become responsible for decisions taking at operational level, but also should be informed of what's happening there. So determining the level of involvement and responsibility is critical. And also in terms of the policies and the procedures that we were talking about in the previous session, those should be used to determine who is responsible for that. Then information management role. The tax manager or the tax executive must make certain that the information that flows in the organization flows in an appropriate way, that you get through proper policies, proper procedures, and proper reporting and feedback mechanisms in the organization. It's the tax manager's responsibility to make certain those things happen. Then a corporate consultant role, and that goes with the operational consultant role. The tax manager knows or is supposed to know what's going on in a business from a tax perspective. So that person should always be directly and intimately involved in all decision making where there's a tax angle. We all heard this before, that the tax person is the last person that knows what's happening after the event. That cannot be, but that can be overcome by proper policy, proper procedure, and getting the right person in that position. Then the person also has an educator role. The knowledge can't sit with one person. The person must have an open view on knowledge is something that should be available to everybody, and there should be a clear strategy how you raise the level of awareness of the tax function in the organization. And then, of course, the external liaison role. Who speaks to SARS? And like we've said before, in the policies and procedures, there should be a clear line that there's a single channel of interaction with SARS. And if there are more than one channels, then it should be clear under which circumstances which channels must be used. And ultimately, it's the tax manager or the tax executive is responsible for setting those parameters in terms of the policy and the procedure that we talked about last time. So that's a mouthful. That's all you have to do. No. Well, you're earning the big bucks. you should be able to do that stuff. In the next session, we'll look at specific KPIs, the key performance areas. What should or how should the success of a tax manager be measured? Until then, this is me, Tradetaxplus, checking out for Tradetaxplus Management Services.